we just got a huge drop from Mob Entertainment regarding the sheep character. And as of writing this script, another Nightmare Critters dropped, so make sure to watch the entire video to be up to date with all of the new Chapter 4 content. But this sheep, who we saw in the Chapter 4 teaser trailer, finally has an official name, Baba Chops. She's part of a toy line called Nightmare Critters, which already hints that this is something darker than what we've seen before. Now, if we look closely at the screenshot that Mob dropped, there's quite a bit to take in. Baba Chops is described as the black sheep of the group, which, right off the bat, gives us some clues. She prefers to be left alone, distant and low energy, needing a lot of coaxing to get out of her house. But the thing that really stands out here is that skull pendant. It's almost like a signature of something sinister, a clear contrast to the other toys we've seen. Then we've got her scent, anise. If you know anything about anise, it's got a strong, somewhat bitter scent. It's not your typical cute toy smell, which adds to the idea that this character was always meant to be something more twisted. Now, where do we go from here? Let's take a step back and start theorizing, because there's a lot of questions that pop up when we look at this new drop. First off, why does this toy even exist? Baba Chops seems so far removed from the typical Smiling Critters or other characters we've been introduced to in Poppy playtime. The Nightmare Critters? This could easily be some kind of special Halloween version of the Smiling Critters, right? Think about it. Every big toy company makes limited edition, holiday themed products. It makes sense that Playtime Co. would do something like this, and a Halloween version of the Smiling Critters would fit the bill. Maybe the Nightmare Critters line was designed to capitalize on that seasonal demand. The twisted design and darker tone would definitely appeal to a different crowd, and Playtime Co. would have known exactly how to market that. But here's where it gets interesting. If Baba Chops is from a Nightmare Critters toy line, why is she so violent? We've seen her tear through Dog Day in the trailer, and her introduction paints her as more than just a creepy toy. She's a predator. Could this violent nature be tied to the personality of the toy itself? Or could it be the result of the kid who was experimented on to create her? We know from the lore that Playtime Co. used orphans for their Bigger Bodies initiative, so what if Baba Chops was the product of one of those experiments? Maybe the child who became Baba Chops was troubled, isolated, and quiet, much like the toy's description. This could explain the sheep's distant and violent behavior. Think about it. If you take a child with deep emotional issues and transform them into a toy, those traits wouldn't just disappear, they'd be amplified. Baba Chops' low energy, quiet demeanor, and need for space could easily stem from a child who had a tough upbringing. But then the violent nature? That could be the side effect of whatever experimentation Playtime Co. put them through. This brings us to another big question. Why would the scientists at Playtime Co. experiment on this toy in the first place? What would they be hoping to achieve? We know from Chapter 3 and the various VHS tapes that Playtime Co. was obsessed with creating the perfect toy, one that could do more than just entertain. They wanted toys that could think, act, and perhaps even replace humans. But Baba Chops doesn't seem like she's here to play nice. Her entire design and behaviors seem to lean more toward aggression. Could it be that the scientists were trying to create toys with survival instincts? We've seen the toys eat each other, attack humans, and do whatever it takes to survive. Maybe Baba Chops was designed with this in mind, a toy that's meant to eliminate the weak and survive at all costs. That might even explain the skull pendant. It's a symbol of death after all, and it could represent her role as a predator within the toy ecosystem. But what about the prototype? We know from previous chapters that the prototype has been manipulating the toys behind the scenes. Could the prototype have done its own form of experimentation on Baba Chops? Well, this is where things get a little murky. Baba Chops is a part of her own toy line, Nightmare Critters, which suggests that she was designed long before the prototype started messing with the factory. She already has a backstory, a design, and a purpose, so it wouldn't really make sense for the prototype to have tampered with her directly. However, that doesn't mean the prototype hasn't influenced her. We've seen how the prototype can control and manipulate the other toys, like Huggy Wuggy and Mommy Longlegs. It's possible that Baba Chops, while not directly experimented on by the prototype, has fallen under its control in some way. After all, the factory is in chaos, and the deeper we go, the more dangerous the toys become. Now, let's circle back to some of the big questions we asked earlier, specifically why Baba Chops is so violent. Is it the toy's personality or the child's? It's possible that it's a mix of both. If Baba Chops was created from a child who already had a difficult personality, one that was distant, low energy, and perhaps even angry, then the experiments would have amplified those traits. But on top of that, the toy itself seems designed to be more sinister. That skull pendant isn't just for decoration. It represents something darker, something more aggressive than we've seen from other toys in the game. And that brings us to the next big question. Why experiment on Baba Chops at all? Playtime Co. was known for pushing boundaries when it came to their toys. They wanted creations that could do more, think more, and survive longer. But Baba Chops seems like she's on a whole different level. It's almost like she was created to be a predator within the toy line. Her distant nature, combined with her violent outbursts, suggests that she was designed to be the top of the food chain, at least among the Nightmare Critters. Could this be part of a larger experiment to see how far Playtime Co. could push their creations? Or are these toys just a Halloween version of the Smiling Critters? Either way, Baba Chops stands out as a unique and terrifying creation. Finally, we come to one of the last questions. Will we see other characters from this toy line? Well, it looks like we already got our answer. With the release of Icky Licky, the second Nightmare Critter, it's clear Mob Games is introducing more characters from this toy line. Baba Chops wasn't a one-time deal. She's part of something bigger. This entire Nightmare Critter collection is designed to stand apart from the Smiling Critters, offering us a darker, twisted version of what we've come to expect from Playtime Co. Now, let's focus on Icky Licky himself. Just by looking at him, you get that vibe. This character is fast-paced, chaotic, and impossible to keep up with. He's designed in stark black and yellow, which is striking, but also hints at his energetic, erratic nature. The wide smile and intense eyes hint at the fact that this is a mischievous character, and that ties perfectly with the personality we've been given. A poor sport, someone who challenges everyone and anyone, but can't take the loss. He's got natural talent, but he's constantly deflecting blame. And the fact that his scent is coffee, that's a clever detail, symbolizing his energy and inability to sit still, like someone who's had way too much caffeine. But here's the big question. Will Icky Licky be an enemy in Chapter 4? Honestly, it seems likely. Baba Chops is already lined up to be a key antagonist, and it wouldn't be surprising if the other Nightmare Critters are introduced as threats too. In fact, it might make sense for Icky Licky to show up in fast-paced, reaction-based sequences. Given his personality, he could easily be the type of enemy that relentlessly pursues the player, throwing constant challenges their way and getting more aggressive if he's losing. Imagine running through a series of tight corridors, trying to outpace him while he throws obstacles at you, all the while taunting you about how he'll win. That would be his style. Next, we have to ask, will we see glimpses of his personality traits when we finally come across him? Absolutely. Mob Games has made sure that every character in Poppy Playtime stands out in terms of personality, and Icky Licky would be no different. His cocky, poor sport attitude is bound to show up in the way he interacts with the player. I can already imagine him challenging the player to races or competitions, but the second he's about to lose, he either changes the rules or makes up an excuse for why it didn't count. Maybe he'll even have voice lines that match his personality, constantly talking trash or making excuses whenever he's at a disadvantage. It's almost like he's more concerned with not losing than he is with actually winning. Now, let's break down the Nightmare Critters logo. This isn't just a fun, colorful design. There's a meaning behind it. Each letter seems to represent one of the Nightmare Critters. Take a look at the I in Nightmare. That's Baba Chop's. Her distinct skull pendant and her darker tone show up right there in the design. Then we've got the R, which, if you look at the color, is clearly designed after Icky Licky. This logo isn't just a random design choice. It's teasing us, showing that each Nightmare Critter will play a role, and their personalities are baked into the very fabric of this toy line. So what does this all mean for Chapter 4? I think we're going to see the Nightmare Critters become a big part of the gameplay. With Baba Chops and Icky Licky already confirmed, it's likely that we'll see more characters from this line appear as enemies. But more than that, we might see their unique personalities influence the puzzles and challenges we face. Icky Licky, with his fast-paced and competitive nature, could introduce timed challenges or reaction-based gameplay. Maybe there's a section where you have to beat him in a race. But just when you think you're winning, he changes the rules to make it nearly impossible. It would fit his personality to a T, but let's not forget the darker undertone here. These Nightmare Critters seem to be a part of something more sinister. They're not like the smiling critters. They don't play nice. And with their unique design and abilities, I think they're a direct result of Playtime Co's experimentation. There's a reason these toys are called Nightmare Critters. Maybe they were designed to scare, to control, or even to test the limits of fear in children. And if that's the case, then we're going to be facing some serious threats in the coming chapter. But what do you guys think? Make sure to let me know down in the comments. Thanks for watching, subscribe, and click on this video right here.